Welcome to Kotcyn, and I'm Dennis, and today what we're going to do, we're going to set up a VPS or a virtual private server on Vultr. Now you could pick a lot of different other providers out there like Namecheap, DigitalOcean, AWS, Google Cloud, Akamai. There are so many different places. As long as they offer the VPS services, you can choose them. There are going to be some similarities or some differences, but we're going to do more on different ones. But today we're going to do it on Vultr. So if you haven't already done so, go to vultr.com and go ahead and sign up or sign in, and it'll bring you to a page like mine. As you can see, I got no instance. I can either go up to this check mark, click it, and deploy new server, or I could have went down to that bottom one, but I clicked it before I went in. And it'll bring you to this page, and when in this page, you got all these different sections we're going to go through and basically set up our server. And the first thing we need to pick out is what kind of server do we want? Do we want to dedicate it? Do we want a cloud compute, optimize? And what we're going to do, we're going to get the cheaper version, cloud compute. And this is all you need pretty much for any small to medium website, especially hosting static or HTML websites. So go ahead and pick the cloud compute. And then we're going to come down to storage and CPU technology. Now, any one of these are great, but just remember the high performance and the higher frequency ones will always be a little bit more than the regular performance Intel. So but for this demonstration, we're picking Intel regular performance. Now, the server location, y'all, that is normally talking about where do you want the server to be. And typically you want it to be closer to a geographical area where you at or to where you hosting your clients at. And in my case, I'm going to pick Dallas, but you pick and choose whichever one you want. One good thing about Vultr, they got a lot of name servers around the world. And we're going to go down to server instance or server images, and these are basically just images of our limited Linux images that you could pick from, and all of them are good. I know Ubuntu is one of the most widely used Linux operating systems, but there's others, Debian, Alma Linux, there are so many, Rocky Linux. Those are just the new ones into the foray, but they're all great and choose from, so whichever one you like. But today we're going to go with Ubuntu, and we're going to pick the 2304. And I say that, but always remember, when you get one permanently, you may want to pick the LTS one. That's the long-term support one. That way you don't have as much of an issue due to it or whatever the case may be. But for right now, we're going to pick this particular one. Now, the server size. And I'm going to eventually do a video talking about how to know what size server you need for what size website you're hosting. There's a little calculation thing you could do. But for right now, we're going to pick this cheap one. And that is plenty big enough for what? A small website or anything, yeah, but the 25 gig solid state drive, and solid state's always a good thing, $5 a month. Yeah, but you can tell, you see this as a per hour, and don't get worried or scared when it says per hour. That's a good thing, because that the most they're going to charge you is $5. But if you decide you want to cancel this at any time before the 5 months, you're incurring an hourly rate, so it would stop. So you can actually be saving money by doing this. You don't get charged $5 just for spinning up this one instance. So that is a good thing. Now, the automatic backup, I'm going to disable it. You can enable it and leave it there if you want to, but for my purposes right now, I do not need it. And of course, it automatically enables the IPv6 version. And also give it a host name and label if you choose to do so for this, or you can leave it alone. And it just says cloud instance. I'll put test on this. And then we're going to come down and hit deploy now. Now, it usually takes just a couple minutes for it to install. And once it gets to install, you're going to see this spinning a little yellow turn to green and say running. Now, as you can tell, we're at the green and it says running. And that's a good thing. It kind of tells us start out like 1 penny. The location, the operating system, and of course, I named it test. So, let's just click into that particular server and it should take us to this spot here. And this is going to be where we use to set up our, through the command line, your IP address, your username, root, and your passcode. Of course, you could click that and see your passcode, but here's your copy button and all the other vital information that's needed. Now, next thing I need us to do is go ahead and open up a terminal, and you could hit the spotlight button and type in terminal, or if you don't already have it at the bottom, and click enter, and it'll bring it up to you. And once we get it into it, what we need to do now to go into this virtual private server, there's a thing called SSH, or basically your secure shell. And you go SSH, and then you go and type root, and then there's the username. And then what we're going to do, we're going to come down here, we're going to copy the IP address, and then we're going to go up here and hit the @ symbol, and we're going to paste the IP address there. So you just remember SSH root at whatever IP address you got, and click enter. Now basically it's going like, hey, do you trust this particular name, this host? We don't know who it is. You know it's you. So what we're going to do, we're going to click yes, and we're going to hit enter. And now you could choose to set up a password, later or something, or if you already got something different. But one thing about Vultr is they already got a passcode set in here. So what we need to do, this is the one we need to enter. So we're going to copy that. We're going to go back to our file. We're going to click in there, and you see you don't see it, and it does that for security reason. But when you click enter, it should automatically take us into the Ubuntu operating system, and it has. As you can tell, it's telling us all the information we needed and everything, our IP address, our IPv6 address, of course Ubuntu. And once we get in there, it says 6 updates can be applied. It's always a good thing to just go ahead and hit update, even if it is that way, just in case, and just click that. And well, let me see, sudo app update. My bad, y'all. It's early morning. And then it will go ahead and start installing all the package. Sudo is basically super user. App is the kind of like the package manager thing to be able to run to get these different stuff. And you see it's already upgraded everything, so I'm good. If I hit LS for list, it just lists. Or if you want to see everything inside your operating system, you hit LS, and then you put a space and hit the -A. That's stand for list all, and it kind of give you everything that's in there. All right, so we're not right now. What we got our VPS company Vultr that's going to be hosting us, and we went on and set up an Ubuntu operating system onto this particular server, and that operating system is going to be the server operation. It's different from your desktop, graphical and stuff like that, but it's meant for server. But once we get that set up, we need to decide now what we're going to use as a web server. Are we going to use Apache, or are we going to use Nginx? They both are good. Nginx, a lot of people like it, a lot better and everything. But for this tutorial, we're just going to use Apache and everything. So what we need to do is go ahead and install Apache, sudo app install, and then we just type in APACHE2 to start the web server. So we're going to get through that. We're going to go ahead and click enter. And as you can tell, it is building the dependency tree and everything, and it's going to ask us, do we want to do the additional 7,154 kilobyte additional space? And we're going to just pick Y for yes and click enter. And now what it's doing is installing all of our Apache files into our system to be able to have our web server connected to the operating system. And it should be almost finished, and it did. It went complete finish now. So we got our web server installed on top of our operating system, which is Ubuntu, on a server that's hosted at Vultr. So we could already, if we wanted to, we could go down here, we could copy this IP address, and we could go up here and start a new tab and just click, paste, and enter. You see that little spinning mark something's not right. It's spinning there. There's something causing it not to go to your page, right? So let's figure out what's going on with that. And what it is Ubuntu has got a firewall set up where it's not allowing the certain ports to come through, and only allowing a limited number. And I'm going to get more detailed into that later. But let's find out what Ubuntu got. And Ubuntu got you can easily tell what their firewall is, but that's active is UFW, Ubuntu Firewall, what that stands for. At least that's what I would think it stands for. And then you can hit status, and it will tell you that it is active. And of course, you can disable your firewall if you want to, and I'll show you how to do that. But it's always a good thing to limit the number of inputs that could come into your server. So what we need to do is go ahead and just get Apache to be allowed. And let's do this. Let's do sudo UFW super user Ubuntu firewall, and then we're going to put app list. And this is just basically a way of letting you know what application is available for them to be able to install or open up your firewall to. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over each and every one of these in probably a different video, more full. But Apache Full opens up basically all of their different port numbers for you that's associated to them. You got Apache, I think it opens up the regular port 80. And then Apache secures basically your port 443. But for this particular video, we're going to open up the Apache Full. We're going to allow all Apache to have full access into this particular browser. And when I click this, y'all watch this particular website. Now watch it spinning, the spinning circle up there, because it may change, or I may have to refresh it. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put sudo allow in, and then in parentheses Apache Full parentheses, and then click enter. Well, I missed something here. Sudo UFW allow in Apache Full quotation. All right, you see now it says rule edit VP there. So if you go to UFW status, see, wait a minute, if you see it already, it opened up the port. Now we're gonna get to that page in just a second. But as you can tell now, it added all the Apache Full port, which allow it. That's a good thing. Now if you go back over here, you see how it just automatically stops spinning, and the firewall allow it to go into it. This is the Apache's default page. This is just a HTML page that Apache set up. You can actually go in there and change it. You can make it whatever you want. But this is basically your simple VPS server that is set up on a hosting company called Vultr with a Ubuntu operating system and an Apache web server. Now, of course, we're going to get more detailed in it, and we're going to talk about setting up like WordPress and all that. But y'all, thank y'all, and have a good day.